Today on this extra episode of the Indo Daily, Ryan Tubridys and his agent Noel Kelly finally appear before the Oireachtas committees. So what have we learned? I'm Siobhán Maguire, and joining me today to talk about today's series of grillings is Philip Ryan, political editor at the Irish Independent. Philip, we've been anticipating this for about a week now. Was it the grilling we thought it might be?
As we're sitting here discussing at the moment, we're into the second grilling. We're into the Oireachtas Media Committee. They're up at the moment. The Public Accounts Committee, it was quite the grilling this morning for Mr Tubridy and his agent, Noel Kelly. I would be hesitant to say that they went a little easier on him than they did on some of the, let's say, the executive or the boards that they have in recent weeks, because look, they are there to do a job. They were there to elicit answers. They were there to find out the finer details of what was known about this controversial contract and what are seen as top-up payments to Mr Tubridy's overall pay.
And as the presenter of his morning radio show, Philip, Ryan Tubridy is the master of monologues. You can sit there and listen to a 10-minute, 20-minute intro in the morning to his show, talking about everything and anything. And there was a little bit of a sense that his own statement was delivered with that same power this morning.
Oh, certainly. At one stage, you could have thought you were sitting there watching a performance on the Abbey or in the Gate, with the way it was delivered. And it was, look, he was there to make a point. I suppose there was maybe an anticipation that he was going to go in there and he would be quite contrite about what has emerged over recent weeks. But that was anything but the case. He was in there to defend himself. He was in there to correct what he said are the 7 untruths that have been told about him and his salary and his dealings with RTE over recent years. And that's what he did. It was very dramatic. It was very emotional. He was banging desks. He was pausing for dramatic effect. He was looking around him to try gauge the response to his various contributions. And it was the Ryan Tubridy, like you say, that everybody is used to hearing on the radio or possibly seeing on television as well.
So what are the kind of key takeaways from this morning's hearing, say?
Well, the overarching thing I think to take from it is that Ryan Tubridy and Noel Kelly's memory or understanding of what went on around his salary and this controversial deal with Renault is very different to what RTE believes. And it resulted in, like I said, they were put out all these various untruths, as Mr Tubridy called them, around what was known about the deal and what pay cut he was taking throughout it. And it resulted in RTE putting out their own statement just before the committee hearing saying that they refuted a lot of what he had to say.
Yeah, we have an interview from our colleague Hugh O'Connell. He spoke with Kevin Backhurst, the new Director General in RTE this morning. And the general gist of what he says in relation to Ryan Tubridy is that, look, never say never in relation to a return to RTE.
Mr Tubridy's own view is very clear from the committee hearing, is that he wants to get back to work. He sees himself as a broadcaster. That's his job, and he wants to get back on air. Hugh O'Connell's interview with Mr Backhurst this afternoon, he's not given an answer one way or the other. He's leaving it open. He says he wants to see what goes on in these committees. Ryan Tubridy referenced himself today that the new Director General of RTE asked for complete transparency at these meetings, and that's what they're trying to do. Whether the committee members feel that it's complete transparency or not, that's a different aspect completely, because some of the members in there, they just didn't really buy a lot of what was being given to them, especially when it came to Mr Kelly's explanations around how the contract came about.
And in relation, back to Ryan Tubridy just for a second, because I recall some of the questioning this morning, Philip, and it was along the lines of popular culture connotations that basically remind us of who Ryan Tubridy is in relation to public service television. For example, what do children say when they see the toy man? In this
Now, he didn't refer to himself as the toy man, but that was from Cormac Devlin, Fianna Fáil TD. He said children were sitting at home wondering why the toy man was in the news all the time these days and not dancing around in a lobster outfit, I suppose. But but like that's one aspect to it. Like, he is a very popular figure. He is someone everybody knew. There was a huge amount of media outside Leinster House and inside Leinster House to see him. People were queuing up to make sure they could get in and get a seat in the committee room to take all this in. But look, the real work is still to happen on all this. And it's kind of because it can become a bit of a show trial, some of these committees. But these committees are gathering information because they're going to put a report together and they're going to say who they believe and what they think transpired with these controversial payments to Mr Tubridy.
And of course, at the end of all of this, you still have the staff of RTE who have been hurt so badly and let down by management. And they have a rally tomorrow, I believe, organised on the campus. And then you have the taxpayer as well, and people scratching their heads saying, what do I do with my TV licence?
There you go. And there's almost an inevitability, it seems now at this stage, that RTU will need some sort of financial rescue package from the government. It seems that it's going in that direction. There's lots of anecdotal evidence that people are saying that they won't bother paying their TV licence when it comes up for renewal around this time. Kevin Backhurst has been pleading with people, saying he'd hope they would do that and remember the public service that RTE does do. And we've seen that even last night's primetime investigates about the dairy industry or the calving industry. So look, that's all there. And the big problem for RTE and the government is if they do take a financial blow off the back of all this controversy.
And Philip, one of the questions that keeps repeating itself, keeps coming up, is in relation to the published figures in relation to Ryan Tubridy's salary. If RTE were putting out a certain figure, and as far as he understood, the correct amount was X, why was there no reference, or why was it not raised that the numbers that we, the public, see be amended?
Yeah, and look, he was asked this on a number of occasions in a number of different ways, and his response is essentially that he should have been more inquisitive. He should have checked out why that was, why things didn't correlate with what's in his bank account and what was being published by RTE and in the media, etc. He was also asked as well, did he see or did he question this idea of his pay going up, or this additional 75,000 paid by RTE? Did he question that at the time when it was in the middle of the pandemic, when he was hosting all those shows and when he was calling on people to come together, and everybody else in the country, well, a lot of them were losing their jobs and on pandemic unemployment payments, etc. And he didn't seem to really have an answer for that, if they did question or not. He essentially shoved that one off onto Mr Kelly, as in he does the finances and he tries to get me the best deal possible.
And one of the 7 untruths was in relation to his leaving the Late Late Show. And there had been, the rumour mill was going crazy. Did he leave because this was all going to come out? And he today said absolutely not. And then in the aftermath of the PAC committee this morning, Philip, we have lots of people on Twitter who know Ryan Tubridy, themselves Irish celebrities, saying that's the truth. He had talked about leaving last year. Yeah,
look, this is something that he has been very strong about in the committees, and it's something that he wants to very much get across. And I don't know if it's to do with his legacy, or he just doesn't want any bad association between him and the Late Late Show, given all that he's given to it. But he was very strong on this and very insistent on this, in saying that, look, his decision to leave the Late Late Show was nothing to do with the financial scandal that's engulfing RTE at the moment, and it was more actually to do with COVID and burnout after all the work he had to do through that. And like many other people in the country, he also felt similar things.
And my thanks to Philip Ryan, political editor at the Irish Independent, for joining me today. And you can read Hugh O'Connell's long interview with Kevin Backhurst. It's up on independent.ie right now, and there's a follow-up tomorrow. I'm Siobhán Maguire, and today's episode of the Indo Daily. This extra episode was produced by myself, researched by Tabitha Monaghan, video recording by Dara Kelly, and podcast recording by Gavin Hennessy. If you enjoy the Indo Daily, don't forget to like, follow, and leave us a review.